So when did you start playing soccer?
I started playing soccer when I was just over 6 years old, and my first formal team, I think I was 8.
Who inspired you to play?
That's a good question, but I don't really have a specific person. My parents signed me up, so I guess they were the people that inspired me to play. They just knew that I was very active, so they wanted to sign me up for something, and it just so happened that girls soccer started in my neighborhood, so together we learned about soccer. And then I think after a while we used to go to San Jose Earthquakes games, so then I think it was the professional players that really inspired me to want to be better. But I think initially it was my parents.
So how did it feel to score the winning goal?
Awesome. It was pretty awesome. It was, I've scored a lot of goals in my career, but I think scoring that goal it was like the other goals. You have to do your job and you have to put it in the back of the net, and in that way it was, everything was calm. I think what happened after was the crazy thing, right? Because it was a big celebration and a big stadium and for the World Cup. But in terms of just scoring the goal, I had the mindset to just score like all the other times I'd scored. But then there was the excitement and the celebration that were much, much different.
So, did your coach ever make you go on any special
The first time that I ever had my eating habits looked at or talked about was when I was in high school. As our coach, she put everybody on the scale and said, if you weigh over a certain amount, you have to do extra running and you need to watch your weight. And my family didn't have a lot of nutrition education, so it was actually the first time that I thought about how soccer or athletics and nutrition kind of went together. So after that, I think then I became I educated myself a little bit more and learned about how food is not only something that tastes really good, but can help me when I'm on the soccer field.
Okay. So, did anyone help you get into the basketball?
Yeah, everybody who I played, every coach. So my dad was my coach for a long time when I was growing up. Then I had a few coaches in between my dad and then making the national team. And I think, my parents for sure, my dad is a coach, all my teammates. I have a lot of people responsible for helping me. It was, I had a lot of injuries in my career and easily could have stopped playing soccer, but they were very supportive. And even though I wanted to do soccer, they gave me all the support I needed to kind of persevere and get through those tough times.
So, did you have to get into an organization to become a soccer player?
Well, I think that's just the natural progression. Like, you have your uniform on right now, so you obviously play on a team. And, if you want to make it to the national team, you have to play on a team somewhere because they need to know that you're good enough to play. So it's just a natural progression. I think if you want to, you could play Sunday soccer or pick up soccer with your friends, but if you really are interested in taking your games to the next level, being on a team is vital.
So, what recommendation would you give to someone who has
Well, there's a lot of different things I would say. I've watched a lot of good players become great players, and I've watched a lot of good players not become great players. And I think the things that were common amongst the players that were good, that became great, were they were dedicated, that they went to practice every day and challenged themselves to be better. They didn't just go and waste their time, so they knew that every time they went to the field, it was a time for them to challenge themselves to get better. They also competed on a regular basis. When somebody was playing really well, they didn't go away from that person. They actually got closer and said, okay, if that person's doing really well, I'm going to compete so that I can play with them. So every day we competed. I would say you have to have courage because it's not always going to be easy. And sometimes it's going to feel like it's just too much of an uphill battle, but you have to keep going and you have to be strong and have courage to make mistakes because the game is always about what's the next play, not what did you just do. So I would say to you, you have to take chances and you have to make mistakes to get better. You have to have good communication. You have, and especially for us, because we play in a team sport, you have to communicate to your teammates and give information, and that's important. You have to make a commitment that that's what you want to do. For me, it was an easy commitment because I love soccer. So any free time I had, I spent playing soccer. And I did the same things over and over and over again. I repeated all the drills and hitting the ball against the wall with the inside of my foot, my laces. I would do it every day of the week, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, whatever I had, I would do it. And I think ultimately you have to have composure, which means when things get hard, you can't panic and you can't lose sight of what's important. And ultimately you have to enjoy. You have to celebrate all the good things you do, even at practice. If you do something good, you have to feel good about it. And I think having that reward is kind of what kept me coming back.
So, what are the pros and cons of being a soccer player?
I think the pros are that you get to play soccer every day. For me, that's the most important. I loved going to the field every day. I loved going to practice. Some days were harder than others, and sometimes I thought, this is just going to be too difficult of a day, and I'm not looking forward to it. But I think at the end of the day, I was always happy to be there. So that was the pros, that you get to play soccer every day. I got to travel. I got to meet new people. I made a lot of friends. I got to wear the U.S. national team jersey, and I got to go to the Olympics and the World Cup. So those are all the pros. As for the cons, I honestly don't believe there were any for me. I think all the hard work. Some people say, maybe it's too much hard work, or maybe you have to give up things. But I never saw getting what I wanted was in the light of giving something up. So I always wanted soccer in my life, and so I moved forward to make that happen.
How many hours a week did you train?
Well, how old are you? 11. So when I was your age, we practiced twice a week, and it was probably about 2 hours each time. So that was 4 hours, and then we'd have a game. So it was 4 hours a week. And then as I got older, it got a little bit more because practice would become like high school age was every day. And then that's not counting the time that I like to spend just, juggling the ball in my front yard or hitting the ball against the wall down at school. So I think as a professional, it wasn't so much about how many hours did I spend, but what was the quality that I spent. So we went to practice every day, but we didn't practice very long. We practiced for about an hour and a half, and then it was the quality of the practice that matters, not the amount. Hi, handsome.
Okay, so that's all.
That's it?
Would you mind signing some stuff for me?
No problem. That's all the questions? That's easy. You're the easiest interviewer I have. Awesome.